Getting very quiet. There's nobody on the other side of the room. And I feel as soon as we get to a certain item, there will be no one on that side of the room.
Saroj says she's here over there, so.
Saroj is there, but she will empty that side also. Well,
Okay, go
are
for
you
it.
guys ready? All right.
Oh. We're doing the special hearing, so it's okay if you're not in yet.
All right, I am going to call to order on Tuesday, May 14th, 2019 at 7:15, a special meeting of the Governing Board public hearing.
I move to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a roll call and say that everybody's here for that.
Oh, so sorry.
That's okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
That was 5 ayes, right? Okay. All right. I think it's Mr. Miglerino.
All right, Jim, you're up. No PowerPoint.
President Ordway, members of the Governing Board, and Dr. Finch. This is a public hearing for the final revision to the 2018-2019, or what we refer to as fiscal year 19 expenditure budget. And because of the change in statute for us to be funded based on current year funding, there's been a changing dynamic, and we will probably always have a May budget revision. The irony to that is we don't have the final numbers for this year's information to be able to finalize the budget, but statutorily we have to do this by May 15th. So I wanted to give special recognition to Ms. Heather Mock, our Director of Finance, who compiled all this information. Essentially, a lot of the changes have to do with what we've previously discussed at several other meetings, I think maybe every meeting that we've talked about this year's budget, that we have more students than we projected that we would have in this year, which is a positive thing, and we are funded based on how many students we serve. So we are expecting an increase as a result of that of about $1.6 million of M&O dollars for this year. We also, in this budget revision, have just over $860,000 in carry forward money. That's unspent money from fiscal year 18 that we're bringing forward into fiscal year 19. And so the total of the combination of the two is about a $2.5 million increase to the M&O budget that we're asking the board to approve. In addition to the M&O increases, we are anticipating an increase to our capital budget, which is also based on ADM. That is a little more involved calculation, because not only do we have an increase when it comes to the average daily membership that generates the capital dollars for us, but the state imposed reduction gets adjusted each year based on the fixed dollar amount that the state has to reduce those districts that qualify for the reduction each year. Unfortunately, we're too large. So essentially what happens, large districts have to bear the state imposed reduction. Small districts are held harmless from the reduction. That is balanced by the state every year after the budget was adopted. Because the ADM increase was greater, instead of a reduction, we are seeing actually a small increase of about $81,000 to our capital budget, but also an increase in the carry forward of about $1.2 million of unspent money from fiscal year fiscal year 18 that we're bringing forward into fiscal year 19. That is a conscious decision on our part to bring those dollars forward in anticipation of whether or not the board will call for a bond election in this coming November, so that we would have some capital reserves, also not only pending the decision for the board to call for that vote, but also the outcome of the election itself. So in total, $2.5 million in M&O increase, $1.3 million of capital increase. There have been some expenses related with the increase in students, $2.2 million when it comes to the M&O So the net there against the $2.5 million is about $230,000. That's uncommitted in this year's budget with the revision. There's about $880,000 worth of capital, including, I think we've updated the board that we did a capital allocation to the schools late this spring, a 30% increase to their allocation, about $240,000 is included in that $880,000. So the net against that $1.3 million increase is about $435,000 of uncommitted capital in addition to the M&O I mentioned before. We did have one late change that I wanted to bring to your attention. We have the college credit by exam plan on the board agenda for later this evening, and unfortunately, we zeroed out the budget on the forms that we sent to you originally. Today, we updated that form to make sure that we have a budget line on that particular fund. It's $1 amount on page 6 of the forms, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention because that was a late change that we made to the forms. It's just $1 amount to make sure that we have the budget capacity to be able to anticipate the board's decision tonight on the college credit by exam, or what we sometimes refer to as the advanced placement funding that teachers now qualify for. With that, I'll answer any questions from the board, but we do have to open it up to the public for any additional input from the community as well.
Do we have any questions from the board? Do we have any questions from the public? You have no questions, Jim. Does that conclude your report?
That concludes our report and our obligation for the hearing, so we can move on to the regular meeting.
We are so in compliance. Thank you.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay.
Sheila, can you come do it? I don't know where it is.
All right, so my drawer is locked. I can't get my cough drops out. I'm sorry. Anyway, we will move on to our regular meeting that we will start at 7:22. Can I have a motion?
I move that the governing board adopt the agenda with the exception of moving action item 7F directly following 3C.
No, we're going to do that after we do this.
All right, I second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, so
Aye.
let us all stand up and join in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. And let the record show that all members are here, so. Where did you move
7F will now follow 3C.
page? Oh, here it is. Okay. We're going to start with our governing board reports, Ms. Tweedy.
I would start by saying I did attend Greenbrier's student showcase night, and the students did a great job, and it was really nice to get out and see their staff and families. I also had the opportunity to meet with Representative Bartow and Nancy Bartow, and she was explaining that she was supporting a bill to make it easier for foster children to access special education, and it passed, so that was good news. I met with Representative Bullock, and she said that they're in the process of forming a committee to discuss the weighting of special education students. I also met with Frank Carroll and Senator Livingston, and Senator Livingston was saying he was supporting a bill that would allocate 1% to 301, Prop 301, and possibly direct monies that weren't going to education and increase the education funding that way. He did support that measure. I also had the opportunity to discuss with all of them when they look at the problem with foster care and special education waiting. I asked them to consider the students who have education neglect. They're not put in school, and so they typically don't qualify for special education because of education deprivation. And I don't know that they were aware of that, and they did agree to discuss that matter further. So I'll continue to advocate for the students. We also discussed, Ms. Frank and I brought up maybe the need to look at how class sizes are reported. I think the public, and I know I would love to see class sizes reported as how many students are sitting in a classroom as opposed to dividing the total number of students by teacher, so we can see what the classes actually look like. And they did agree to meet with us over the summer when we had more time to discuss education issues, so extremely grateful to them. And I wanted to address one other point. And my reasoning for asking this publicly is not to put anyone on the spot, but so that the public would be aware I'm asking these questions. I did receive in the board report the plan for the district office reorganization and the costs associated with that. So I did still have some outstanding items I hadn't received that I think are pertinent. I did ask for the total number of employees that were manager or higher for the last 5 years, and seeing that we're reclassifying people from managers and directors ones to twos, I would like to know if other districts have a distinction between manager one and manager two. I would also like to know, including the 5% raise we gave to everyone, what percent raise each of these people will be receiving in addition to their reclassification, because that was one of the things I brought up when we were discussing how everybody's 4% underpaid, that certain employees had been reclassified, so I believe that's relevant. And then also I asked the total percent of administrative raises that our peer districts have given, and I haven't gotten that information yet. I also discussed the opportunity. I've also requested for at least 6 months the opportunity to discuss the staffing report the efficiency study that we had done, and we've never had that on the agenda, and I believe that's pertinent to this decision. So just so that people, if I don't get the information and it goes to a vote anyway, I just like the public to know I tried. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frank.
Oh, there. I would also like to thank legislators Shauna Bolick, David Livingston, Nancy Bartow, and Frank Carroll for meeting with us, and we really had some good conversations, as Ms. Tweedy mentioned, regarding class size and as well as special ed and some of the things going on with our foster care students. And they also expressed to us as governing board members their concern that the legislature, when they do appropriate money to school districts, it does go to the board to decide how that money is dispersed throughout the district, and so their concern was that the money is intended for teachers and for the classroom very often isn't making it there. So we shared with them our concerns, and they shared with us some of theirs. So it was a really great dialogue, and I'm looking forward to continuing that throughout the summer months. I'd like to thank Mountain Shadows for putting on a fabulous math and science extravaganza night, and it was great to see fellow board member Julie Reed there with your date. And also Sarah Verdi did a fabulous job with their STEAM night, and then I had the opportunity to attend Anthem STEAM Career Day, so all of those schools doing a great job. And then I also had some follow-up questions regarding the reclassification, since that will be coming to us for a vote. First of all, thank you for providing the proposed organizational chart, and I'd really like to see our current org chart so that I can compare the two, where we are now compared to the proposed changes. And then I know there was some mention in the board update regarding positions that had been eliminated from the district office during the downtime. And I'd also like to know what other positions throughout the district were eliminated. I know that accounting clerks were cut, APs from our elementary schools were cut, librarians from our elementary schools were cut. We had first-year teachers who were RIFed at that time. So if there's any other groups that also received cuts district-wide, I'd appreciate some information on that. And then we did receive an email from someone in transportation who talked about how I believe it was the dispatchers are being required now to drive bus routes. And so I'm just wondering if those are positions that perhaps ought to be reclassified as they're now doing more than one job. So that would be something to look at as well. And it was great to see all of our students receiving awards tonight, especially some former students of mine. It's always great to see. All right, looking forward to seeing them all again at graduation next week. And that's it for my report.
Mrs. Reed.
Well, it's been a busy couple of weeks. I feel like head first into my first round as a board member in the month of May. So one of the highlights, I was emailed and asked to do an interview with a candidate for Eagle Scout because he had to interview a community member and he wanted to discuss some educational issues. So I met with him and he happened to be a charter school student. And I said, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And he said, well, I want to be an engineer. And so we had a conversation, and his homeschool happens to be Sonoran Foothills. And I said, well, we have a top robotics team. And he goes, yeah, I know. He's like, I think my mom's going to sign me up for Sonoran Foothills next year. And then a couple days later at the Sonoran Foothills STEM night, they were in our robotics classroom, and they both came up to me and said, thank you so much. We're going to transfer him back to his homeschool, Sonoran Foothills. So I thought that was really neat to see. During Teacher Appreciation Week last week, I made the rounds to the 7 schools that I am assigned to as a governing board member and was able to meet with them really quickly and drop off some snacks and some goodies just to say thank you. So I know we have half of the educators here from Legend Springs, so thank you so much for what you do, and I hope that you felt loved and appreciated last week by your students and by your parents. My nonprofit was able to help throw the nacho bar at Constitution, and that was really fun to be able to just interact with those teachers for a couple of hours and serve them lunch. Went to conversations with Kurt at Sunrise, which was great, and some great questions from the community members there. The Sandra Day O'Connor Spring Concert, which I wore my governing board member hat and my parent hat because my son was playing. I was invited to the Rising Eagle Awards at O'Connor, and that was probably the coolest award ceremony I've ever been to because they weren't recognizing kids that were excelling necessarily in academics or excelling in sports or fine arts. They were recognizing students who had overcome some sort of adversity over the semester. So maybe they were having a tough time at home or they were having a tough time with peers, and that was affecting their attitude or their work performance at school, and they came in for extra help. And so it was neat to hear all of those nominees and the reasons why they were nominated and to see how proud their parents were of them for overcoming that adversity. This last semester, Mrs. O'Brien and I have been working with a student team at O'Connor in their student wellness advocacy teams, and we were able to watch their final performance, and they totally knocked it out of the park. Not that I'm, biased, but they did a great job collecting superhero action figures for an organization called Put on the Cape, and they carried their message a little bit further and are volunteering with the organization long after their project has been over. So that was really cool. Last week, Mrs. O'Brien and I had the opportunity to tour Adobe Mountain School, which is better known as the juvenile prison or detention center that's off of I-17 in Pinnacle Peak, and hear about some of their struggles. A couple of things to note: what they're seeing in their population is more traumatic experiences. The adolescents that are coming to them are have a higher rate of severe mental illness. 90% of them come in addicted to drugs, and so we are seeing kids that are more violent, and kind of some of the trends that we're seeing in public education too, is that we are serving students with a higher need population. Went to the Sandra Day O'Connor Band Awards, again as a mom and as a governing board member, which was really cool. And then went to the Mountain Ridge Senior Awards Night, which was awesome. They had over $17 million in scholarships awarded to them. And then last night went to the Barry Goldwater High School Honors and Awards, and that was really cool because I knew about 10 of the kids. So that was neat, my first experience knowing some of them that were there. And they doubled the amount of scholarships that they received from this year to last year. So awesome job, $6.5 million of scholarships for their senior class. And it was neat to watch all of those students receive their academic letter as well. And then just one request, I really took to heart some of the information that we received on the parent survey and the teacher survey. And I was trying to figure out a way for the governing board to be more personable and, to help with some of the recruiting efforts that Mrs. Moffitt and her team are doing with some of our student teachers. And I remember when I was a student teacher in Paradise Valley, I had governing board members that came around to our classrooms and spoke to us, and that were there at our new hire orientation. And so that was nice for me, that it seemed like somebody else was looking at me, was recognizing my desire to lead and to be a part of the district. So I'd like to entertain the idea of maybe just handwriting some thank you cards or some welcome to the district cards for those of us that want to do that for some of our new teachers and some of our student teachers, and letting them know that we're there to help answer questions and to be there as a support for them too.
Thank you. Mrs. O'Brien.
Thank you so much. I'm going to start by saying thank you to my fellow board members. It is a pleasure to work with a group of people who are very cooperative in dividing and conquering all the activities that we have to do in May. So there's a lot of triple and quadruple bookings that go on during May. So last night, while some board members were at Barry Goldwater, I was fortunate enough to head out to ASU to watch the Sandra Day O'Connor Eagles softball team beat Pinnacle 6-4 and take home the 6A championship.
I had to do that.
My only complaint is that I'm pretty sure I have way more gray hair after watching that nail biter. Just throwing that out there. They could have ended it a few batters early, but it was a very good game. I'd also like to thank Mr. Strauss for meeting with me. He's an integral part of the grading and reporting committee. I'd been hearing some comments about that and feedback, had some concerns, and was happy to have him give me an update and answer a lot of my questions. I look forward to the presentation that the board will get in June. A couple of events that I'll highlight real quickly. Congresswoman Debbie Lesko attended a Google event at Sierra Verde about being smart, safe, and kind on the internet. So it was a really nice presentation for our junior high kids there. They did a great job, and she played a game and competed against a couple of the kids, and they said this was the first time in all the times they've done this competition they actually had 2 ties. So she really knocked it out of the park and competing with those kiddos. Also got to attend the Arbor Day event at the Sierra Verde Park with the 3rd graders from Sierra Verde, and it was a pleasure to see Glendale City Councilwoman Lauren Tomelchoff there, and the kids got to help to plant some new trees in the park next door to their school. A+ School of Excellence ceremony at Park Meadows was awesome. As was thank you to the Deer Valley Education Foundation for awesome Teacher of the Year awards. Congratulations to all of those teachers, as well as our national board certified teachers. Huge kudos to Marie Brennan and the DVEF, as well as all the business sponsors who make that happen, including Arizona Broadway Theater. Conversations with Kurt, as Mrs. Reed noted, was really great. What I learned there was that this is their 40th year anniversary, and they still have 3 teachers on that campus who started when the campus was brand new. One of them is retiring this year. And the other thing I learned is they are only on their third principal. It's pretty amazing tenure there. So congratulations to them. Awesome. I hear some chuckles from Legend Springs out there.
I have one every year.
I was thankful to get to attend the Business and Community Partner Meeting Celebration. And of all of those meetings, that is my favorite, Mrs. Allred. And what is awesome about that is that she reads a little bit about what our business and community partners do with each of their schools, and not all of them attend. So it's really just the tip of the iceberg of what these folks are doing in our community to help our students and our staff. So it's an awesome thing to do. So if you need to go out and buy something or go eat, I would check our business and community partner page and go visit some of those folks because they are extraordinary. Let's see. I have a request that the committees that are on the governing, or not the governing board page, let me start over. The Deer Valley website has our committee, our different parent and stakeholder committees. Some of the materials are not up to date and current, and if we could just double check on that, that would be helpful when trying to answer questions from community members. And then I have an agenda request, which would be to discuss what our safety plan is at board meetings. Thank you so much.
Well, that was a lot of really cool stuff. So I'm going to say that through inspiration and modeling, when we celebrate and we value, collaborate, we problem solve, we seek treasures within our employees and our future employees, that is what we're supposed to be doing as governing board members. And as you've heard, the hours and hours that everyone's put in different areas, we're trying really hard to promote our school district and have the most excellent, extraordinary opportunities and the access for our students. So whether it be academic, athletic, CTE, fine arts, proms, promotions, graduations, carnivals, STEAM nights, STEM nights, math challenges, engineering. I'm thinking we had some balloon tosses with eggs here a little bit ago. But whatever it is, we put our hearts into it, and we want you to know that even though all of us don't have the opportunities to see everything during the day or during the evening, we really try hard to either be there in person or to look at it through Twitter or Facebook pictures. But we are behind you. Sometimes we're next to you, but we're never trying to be in front of you unless we're taking some flack for you. So it is really an awesome thing to be a governing board member in Deer Valley because we are an awesome family. And that is my report, Dr. Finch.
Nice. That's one of the pluses of the end of the year is Deer Valley just wins everything, and so that we make for long meetings. Yeah.
I have stuff that I got from the Google technology thing at Sierra Verde.
Oh, look at that. Oh, if you,
Paddles.
nice. So you can be safe on the internet or bad on the internet?
That's right. Or you can use them for whatever. I mean, you guys, my
So you're sharing? We're going to vote like this now for the rest of the year?
Here's your T-shirt.
Sheila won't like that.
All right, everybody got a T-shirt as well. Nice. Internet awesome.
Locked again.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm moving on. Hey, yeah, thanks. But yeah, it's nice to see all the awards that we had from the students today. And actually, I'm going to, like in the Senate or the House, the chair can delegate the rest of their time to honorable wherever. Well, I'm going to delegate my time, my extended time, to two students. That are I call these the leader of the leaders for the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. Nick and Carly are going to do a little presentation about the summit that we worked on this year And feel free to ask any questions of them. They're like I said, they're my A students, so they should be able to answer anything. And Miss J has got them all ready to go. So Nick and Carly, take it away.
Well, Dr. Finch, honorable board members, students, and parents, hello and good evening. My name is Carly Rano, and I'm a senior at Mountain Ridge High School.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Wilshire. I am a sophomore at Deer Valley High School. And we just want to thank you all for coming, and we want to show you what we did at our summit and how we planned it and how Dr. Finch helped us put this all together. Now, the Superintendent Student Advisory Council has been going on for about 20 years. It is comprised of about 50 students from all around the district, from grades 8 through 12. And, well, I'm a sophomore, so you can see where that range is. And what our job is to research a topic that we can see within our district, something that we think should change or should be altered, or something that could just be a little bit better. And so we meet monthly to determine that topic and to determine different activities and things for our summit that we will plan in February. Now, our mission statement is, we, the Student Advisory Council, shall, and through community service, outreach, and teamwork, positively influence students and community in the Deer Valley Unified School District to become better leaders and understand the real-world situations. Now, with this, we have done different project management and tried to outreach to different students throughout the district, and this really helps us become better leaders throughout the district. There we go. All right. So the Superintendent Student Advisory Council is about collaborating with a variety of personalities and ages. We meet with different people, different kids, teachers, and faculty around the school. We do community service with Dr. Finch, and we interact with different people. We like to make a difference within our district and to make a change for the better.
Okay, so yes, now I will talk a little bit more about this summit in particular. So at the beginning of the year, in our commission, we select representatives to go and communicate with the different elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. And so their job is to ask the principal, as well as any delegated teacher, what issues they notice at their school. So after that, we take all that information and we kind of determine a necessary theme for the year. And we plan activities that will go with that theme in order to help inform students within the district and help make a difference and an impact. So our theme this year was culture, and within that we had 3 distinct categories: discover, embrace, and unite. So what we did is there are 7 continents, so we had 7 different stations, and each station was labeled with a different continent title. So for example, I was the leader for the Africa station, so this was in charge of music. So we had 2 activities. The first activity is we selected a variety of songs, 1 song from each country within each continent, and we had the students guess where each of these songs originated from. And then we gave them candy, of course, to keep the incentive going for them to play. And then our second activity was called Music Theory Bingo. And the point of this activity was just to teach them that music is ultimately a universal language. For example, a quarter note from Africa is the same as a quarter note from the United States. It's something that we can all understand.
Now, I ran the Asia continent and the Asia group, and one of our activities that was really popular was our Jenga, our cultural Jenga. Now, we were in charge of teaching traditions and different religions around the world and holidays that people celebrate, and how some of them could be similar, and how you want to understand other countries when you go to them. Now, the whole point of Jenga was that you had to pull a card, and on that card was a question about either your culture or another country's culture, and you had to try to answer it. Now, if you can answer it, you can pull one of the blocks and you can move on to the next person. But if you couldn't answer it, then you had to pull 2, and you had to go twice. And that represents the form of where you go to another country, you want to understand what you're getting yourself into. You want to understand what their life is about, and so you don't get yourself in an awkward or you don't want to offend them when you go to their country. You want to understand them and to follow the 3 bases between our summit. Then we also had North America, South America, and Europe, all following different parts of culture that we thought was necessary to fulfill the summit.
Oh, and another very popular activity we had was with the South America station. They were in charge of language, so I know that they would pick words like hello or love or goodbye, and then they would teach the students how to translate that into the different languages. And so that was definitely a favorite for the students this year as well.
Now, for the high schoolers, since we had such a large group, more than any other school that we would put the groups into, we wanted to make sure that they got more coverage and more room for themselves, so we stuck them in the auditorium. And with that, we wanted to make sure that they still got the same amount of activities. So we put most of the continents, the similar activities within that area for them to participate in. And we wanted to introduce that to them so they can take that back to their high school. Now, before the students came to the summit, we asked them if they can look at their backgrounds, their ancestors, and see where they're from to kind of get a perspective on the world and what they do. And so when they first walked through the doors, we gave them a sticker, and we had a big map, and we had them place that sticker on the point of origin of where their ancestors were from. And this is the outcome that we got. There was a lot of diversity. I myself am from Wales. That's where my family is from.
So ultimately, another major goal of ours is for students to take what they learn and to be able to implement those ideas at their schools. So towards the end of the day, we delegated about 20 minutes to the students to meet with members within the SSAC to kind of help them plan an activity that they could carry out at their schools.
And with that, we had a lot of emails coming from different schools around the district, and some of our results ended up with being elementary schools, high schools. Some people had festivals, assemblies. They created posters all around campus. We even had a school do, like Hillcrest, they actually created a big map and then did similar to what we did with stickers, except they did with their whole entire school, which was really cool. We also had Deer Valley High School, Sandra Day O'Connor, and I believe we had a lot of coverage of different students looking through. I know Deer Valley had a kind of festival on World Culture Day, which was April 16th, I believe. And they did a bunch of different activities they took from the summit. We had the cultural Jenga there, and students had a lot of fun, and we gave them prizes for going through all the activities and telling us what they learned about.
And then at the beginning of the day, we were very lucky to have Marcelino Quinones as our guest speaker. He did a fantastic job incorporating the idea of culture and introducing the day and getting the students very excited and kind of pumped up for what they were about to learn that day. So we want to give him a little shout out and just say thank you to him. We would also like to say a big thank you to Barry Goldwater High School. At the beginning of the day, as the students were arriving and coming in, their choir group came out and sang a variety of songs. I believe they also sang a couple songs in different languages. That was very cool, very nice to hear. And then at the very end of the summit, the dance team came out and they performed a beautiful dance, and a lot of the dances came from different countries from around the world. So altogether, it culminated in a very nice day.
Another quick thing, one of our own members actually helped choreograph the dances that they performed.
Yes, she's right there in the black dress.
Yeah. Now, our team throughout the year has come together and formed an amazing summit that we had awesome reviews from. We wanted to make sure the district got something from this. We wanted to form a better district, country, and hopefully get to the world. We also wanted to thank Dr. Finch and Mrs. Jaggernaut for everything that they do for us. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. It's called the Superintendent Supervisor Council. We're here for you, and we thank you so much. Now here's a little map of two of our members, and it's really funny, so I thought I'd stick it in there for you. Also, I created a little QR code so that since you weren't here, if you wanted, you can scan it, and you can see pictures from the whole entire summit that I took, and also he took some too. And so did Dr. Finch and Mrs. Jaggernaut. So if you scan that with the QR code reader, you can access all of our photos. And otherwise, thank you so much, and have a great night.
we'd love to answer any questions too. if you
Any
have
questions
any.
for the students?
Mrs. Frank? No?
Nope.
I don't have any questions. I just want to say I've been to every one of them. And each year, our students get it a little bit more and more. And the networking through the different schools now, I think they take it a little bit, it takes on a life of its own. So really appreciate the fact that you guys take it seriously. And I keep forgetting that you're not only a sophomore, but that you're a sophomore. So we have you guys for a while. And Dr. Finch, I appreciate the fact that you honored the tradition to keep this going, because I think it's really important for our students, the younger ones, to see what the older ones are doing. The mentoring is great. And for those that are becoming juniors and seniors, to look backwards and see how far they've actually come. So thank you guys.
Yep.
And real
Yep.
quick,
Real quick.
for next year, we are hoping to let the schools know about the project sooner so then they can start planning more activities throughout the year so they have more time. And we're hoping to have really good outcome from that.
And if I could just say thank you to you and all your fellow members of your committee, because you guys don't just meet once a month, you meet during the school day and miss some class time. So you're making up that time, and then you're also working on this outside of that time. So thank you for volunteering and working to make our district and our community a better place to live in.
And I want to thank Miss J. She makes it happen. I'm just the sidekick. So she's a superhero. So thanks, Miss J. Thank you, students. Good job.
Well, I think that brings us to C, which I believe has Jim Miglerino's name all over it.
President Ordway, members of the board, Dr. Finch. So 2 reports to share with you this evening quickly. Student enrollment report through the 159th day, or April 24th, showing us relatively flat, up about 12 kids over the same time period a year ago. And I'll entertain any questions regarding the enrollment report.
We have 0 questions for you.
Okay, hearing none. Move on to the financial reports for the month of April. And we're showing a projected carry forward of just over $1 million. That's up from $817,000 last month, so a slight increase. And year over year, we were right at $1 million. So tracking the same pattern. And just wanted to note, this does not include the budget revision dollars that will be added pending the outcome later this evening for the action item. So I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the April financial reports.
Again, you have 0 questions.
All right, we are going to do 7F, which is the recommendation for the principal of Legend Springs.
Wait, we haven't done anything yet. Stop.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation, Nicole Basil, for the principal of Legend Springs School.
Wait.
I second.
We have, okay, do you have a second?
Second.
Do you mind if we vote or something?
I think we need to ask for some introduction.
Well, no, first all right,
No,
go
they
ahead.
seem to already know who she is.
We're good. Okay.
May we vote? All those in favor say aye.
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 Did you want to say something now?
On behalf of HR, the Legend Springs team, I know Dr. Finch and Dr. Zerbach were pleased to have Nicole Basil back in the position of a principal in Deer Valley and specifically Legend Springs. So thank you.
No,
Yes.
thank you.
ALS is very happy to have Nicole.
Told you that side of the room was going to empty out quick.
It's not often that we make so many people happy at a
I
board
know.
meeting.
Could you all stay for the rest of the meeting and just keep clapping? No? Please?
Someone said run away. Oh, my goodness. All right, moving on. Drive safely. Don't run each other over on the way out.
You're welcome.
Wow, there they all go. All right, what's next?
We don't have any public comments this evening.
No public comment, so let's move on.
Oops. I move that the governing board approve the K-8 Mandarin immersion curriculum resources for 2019-2020.
Second.
Do we want discussion? Nobody? Yes? No? Okay, shall we take the vote?
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh. Okay. Well, I'm happy now. Alrighty then. Let's move to 6.
Consent agenda. I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 6A through 6J.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty then. We're up to 7A.
Employee travel. I move that the governing board approves all employee out-of-state travel per governing board policy GCCE.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. 7B.
Agenda pre-approvals. I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to pre-approve the addenda as presented.
Second.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question. When I looked at the job descriptions for the various addenda positions, they're blank. There's
I noticed the same thing.
a blank job
Couldn't open it.
form was uploaded, but there's no actual description for any of the jobs.
Yeah. Did everybody else have the same problem?
I did.
Did you use Internet Explorer or?
Well, I'm in Board
directly?
Docs.
Okay.
I'm in Board Docs, so
All right.
So we don't know what we're voting on.
We can.
For the MTSS assistant principal summer work, is that the one you're talking about?
well on all of them. When I pull it up on Board Docs, I'm seeing a blank form.
You don't have the purple one?
No.
Yeah, it's working on Sheila's.
You don't have this?
No work.
So when I click on the
Is that something different?
Yeah, hers is blank, but mine's filled in. I'm on Internet Explorer.
Sheila has Chrome. Can it wait another week or two? Or does it matter time-wise? Addenda pre-approvals, is that time constraint?
Time sensitive or
Time sensitive or no? Mr. Migrino, thoughts?
Dr. Finch, the start date, I'm looking the earliest start date would be the 15th, which is tomorrow. And there are 4 addenda that would
Oh, it is time sensitive?
that are part of our community schools programs that would be affected by it waiting till the 28th.
Okay. Yeah, can we pass down?
Yeah, they're looking at Mrs. Reed's.
You want to take a recess for 15 minutes while you look them over, the ones you're interested in, something like that? Would that work?
to ruin the momentum of the meeting, but
No,
maybe
don't.
5 minutes? 5 minutes?
Okay, we'll take
5 minutes.
Have a coffee break?
have a quick recess.
All right, we'll take a 10-minute recess at
15.
8:05, so we'll be back at 8:15.
you go.
With each other. It's only us two. It's happening.
It's only us.
It's kind of funny. They're all wearing I love it. Okay.
Because they were more spirited. Oh, don't throw them under the bus. Jenny Frank throwing them under the bus. Unbelievable. Yes, there was. I saw that. It was an awesome sight. Okay, it's 2015. We're back in session. Oh. 2015 recess is over. Do we have any questions about this?
No further questions.
Or
So,
delays.
in that case, we'll
Dr. Galligan and Mrs. Ordway.
okay. We'll take the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So we don't have a reason to ask if anyone needs to vote no, because we all voted aye. Next.
What's next?
We would be on C, 7C.
Thank you. Adopt the fiscal year 2018-19 expenditure budget revision. I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to adopt the first revision to the fiscal year 2018-19 expenditure budget.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 That will move us to D. 7D.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the college credit by exam funding plan.
Second.
Any questions? 0 questions. All those in favor say aye.
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 No opposed? 7E.
I move that the governing board accept the administration's recommendation to approve the 2019-20 salary schedules.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just had one question.
Absolutely.
Are the bus drivers part of this? Okay, so can you explain who's included or excluded from the bus driver raise and why?
President Ordway, Ms. Tweedy, I would be happy to answer that question. So what was included in the salary recommendation are all those positions identified as bus drivers, and they were changed from range 22 to range 25, which was a 95-cent increase between the two ranges, or between those ranges. We do have some positions such as the dispatcher position that is also a range 22, and they were not included in the 95-cent increase. They were included in the 5% increase, just as the bus drivers were. But the dispatchers themselves are not required to hold a CDL and not required to drive, but many of our dispatching, I think all of our dispatching personnel came through the bus driving ranks and have a CDL and they do drive, what we have communicated to those folks is if they were asked to drive, we would have a different hourly rate for them. So if they were acting in their dispatching capacity, they would be paid as a range 22. If they were asked to drive, which they do frequently, we would pay them as a bus driver, just as we made the increase for all the other bus drivers. So they would actually have 2 different rates of pay for next year. The alternative would be, and there's 7 of these people, 4 dispatchers and 3 in routing that are asked to drive on occasion. Actually, on occasion may be an understatement because we're so short on drivers. But the other option would be for us to reclassify those 7 positions into as a range 25 and do the same thing that we did with the rest of the bus drivers because there's so few of them, being 7.
Yes, ma'am.
So when the dispatchers drive for us, and you're saying they have the differentiated rates of pay, even at the higher pay, are we not saving money by not having to contract those routes out? Or am I not understanding that correctly? Because it seems like we've paid a lot of money contracting out bus routes. So by them agreeing to drive routes, does that not save us money?
President Ordway, Mrs. Frank, yes, it would save us money over contracting out. And we are not suggesting that they should drive for less money than we would pay other bus drivers. What we're saying is the dispatch position is a 12-month position and does not have the CDL requirement. It just happens to be that all of our dispatching positions currently hold a CDL. But if they were to drive, yes, we would pay them as if they were a bus driver at a different rate, or we can reclassify, again, because there's only 7 of these people in total.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what the cost would be to reclassify those 7 compared to...
At a later date. Steve, go ahead. I have a thought on this too.
I was...
Questions too.
Okay, go ahead, Ms.
No,
O'Brien.
go ahead. I can wait. I just.
Well, no.
I was going to finish.
Oh, sorry.
Compared to what we're paying, what we'd have to pay to contract out those services. So just a comparison between those 2 amounts would be helpful.
Jim, when the description of dispatcher, does that include, or whoever knows the answer, other duties? And then if the duty is other than dispatching and it is driving, they are getting paid the rate of a bus driver, correct?
President Ordway, just to be clear, currently they are, both bus drivers and dispatchers are both range 22.
Right,
so
but
there is not a differentiated pay for them this year. Next year, with the salary increase that was approved, there would be a differential and we would pay them a different rate.
Okay, so if we were to reclassify the dispatching to be the same rate as a bus driver, there would, I'm just trying to see what the difference then between the tasks would be, because then there would be no differentiating when you're doing something other than your typical job.
President Ordway, and that is the case currently, right? They are both range 22
Right.
now. Our hope is, just in terms of, I like to consider this an unintended consequence of our recommendation. Our hope is that we would be fully staffed and not have to utilize dispatching personnel to drive. And the goal was to make the bus driving position more attractive by increasing the salary so that we can cover those routes. There is, unfortunately, because of how frequently we use these people currently, they feel that they should be paid the differentiated rate, which we agree with them about. But the dispatching, the reason that most of our, or in fact all of our dispatching positions came from the bus driving ranks is because it is a 12-month position and sometimes more desirable because their total compensation for the year is greater because of the duties that are assigned to them, and it's a 12-month position. But that those particular positions, both routing and dispatch, were not considered in the reclassification that we brought to you. We can get the cost of that, but there's going to be, if we reclassify them all to 25s, range 25, I should say, we'll be paying them range 25 for the entire year, all 12 months.
As opposed to the school year.
Our current plan would be that they would, I'll just say for all practical purposes, clock out of their dispatching position, clock into a bus driving position at a higher rate of pay, and drive a bus, and then come back and clock back into a dispatching position when they were doing a different position.
Mrs. O'Brien?
So sorry to repeat, because I think Mrs. Ordway was asking along the lines. We were the 95-cent increase. The purpose of that was to make the bus driving position more desirable by making it a higher wage. The current, I guess, concern is that dispatchers who drive are not receiving, would not receive that money is what they're thinking. But what I'm hearing Mr. Miglerino say is if they would receive the pay for the job that they're doing at the time, I'm not sure why we would reclassify the dispatcher positions if what we're hoping to do is make that bus driving job more attractive with the pay increase. And I guess I'm looking to you all because there were some questions from you about, from you all about making the increase across the board.
Right.
Sorry.
Darcy, do you want to?
I just had one thing. I guess to move or in hearing our discussion, I just was trying to understand if that's what we were approving and who was included and not. If we, regardless of what we decide to do about this issue, it would have no bearing on this. I mean, you would have to bring back a reclassification anyway. I mean, so it doesn't change this vote, but you could give us information in our update, and we could bring that back with the options for dealing with this problem.
If that's a question, President Ordway, Ms. Tweedy, yes.
There's no way to address it tonight either way with this recommendation in front of us is what I guess I'm saying.
That's
right?
correct. What you're considering tonight is the actual salary schedules, not who is being placed on what range.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and I just had request for information regarding the other issue because it was brought to our attention, but again, it doesn't affect the vote on this particular item.
So I guess I would say, could we include that as part of the reclassification discussion at least, or to bring us information on this?
My turn?
Absolutely. You were so patient.
Yes. You're going to hear the same spiel you hear from me all the time about the unintended consequences. I think Mr. M went on that trail a tad about trying to make the bus driving more attractive. But there's actually another unintended consequence, and that is in our system, this is very common, where you could maybe start the morning as a lunch person and work and get that rate. And then maybe you become a pair in the middle of the day and you get that rate. And then at the end of the day, you become a lunch person again or something like that. Or
Crossing guard.
And that's very common in our system. People jumping between the different classifications because of different benefits or different attractions or time related to time. This fits in my window, so I'm going to do this. So that's pretty common. So I hesitate to reclassify this group because it kind of goes against what we are, as a board, or what you are trying to do of making that bus driver position more attractive. So that's my 2 cents. But obviously, Mr. Miglerino also said that it is a small group, but it might not be completing what we're trying to do to make that bus driving the most important and most attractive position in our fleet.
Okay, but for this moment and for this vote, we are simply voting on the amounts that are in the ranges, correct? Okay, so let's do that. And then if we have questions, concerns, we want to go on to that, we can do that at some other point in time. So are we ready to take the vote?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Awesome. Moving to
Oh,
8.
hold on a second. Oh, finally it took it. Sorry, it wasn't allowing me to.
Preview. Preview.
Did we change the revision to the board meeting date? Is that?
That's where we're at. 8A on revision to board meeting. That's
What we're on.
Yep. That one there, I think I sent to you, and in my last Friday update. You have shipped me off to DC to work with the legislators on that day. And so I think we really have 3 options to do there. We can keep it the same day and do the board meeting. Well, this is usually our slowest board meeting, our smallest board meeting of the year. Or option B would be to have me call in, which would be 3 hours later. I recommend that either. Or to move the date to Thursday of that week. And so that's what I would like to do. I haven't missed a board meeting in my 20 years as superintendent. I want to break my record. But hey, if there's another plan, we can work with that too. So calendars are important. So if you have stuff going on.
Go ahead, Mrs. Frank.
So you're going for the perfect attendance award?
Yes.
If
20
we don't
year
change
perfect.
the date, that will totally screw
Totally
that up.
mess it
will.
up. Yep. And my 20-year pin will be lost. Up in smoke.
We don't have one yet
I just can't.
designed, but
I don't want to
it's
miss a meeting.
Fred, I think. is
That's one of those
for.
type A guys, you know. They got to beat everything.
Well, far be it from me to deprive you of the perfect attendance award.
Could he be required to bring snacks that night?
This is a preview, so between now and next week or whatever, let me know if that doesn't work or if a better day works than Thursday the 11th. I think is the day I'm
I'm fine with
recommending.
that date.
July 11th is a good date for everybody.
Yeah, I'm fine with that
I'm
too.
fine.
Seems to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, if
Okay.
I go out of town or something, I'll just
So
call
not
in.
that we're voting, but if you want to
You'll
throw
have
that
to
out
vote,
there for
yep.
the next meeting,
You have
that'd
to
be
vote
awesome.
the next meeting, but that's a preview. Well, thank you for the
I'll
adjustment.
try to book my tickets for Japan around that time.
Got it.
And by the way, snacks will be included, provided by Tom.
I wish I knew some Japanese right now, but I don't.
Anyway, let's move on to our next preview item because I see Dr. Galligan just biting at the bit to get to this one. Adoption of the new EL curriculum and resources.
President
Ooh, look,
Ordway,
we have a guest.
members of the board, Dr. Finch, tonight we bring you a preview of the English Language Learner Adoption. Beverly Kerr, our English Language Arts Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Specialist, will share information on the adoption process, team members, and recommended resources.
Take it away.
The DVUSD English Learner Program, thank you, continuously strives to deliver quality instruction, maximize language acquisition, and find resources that best support teachers. We currently have no textbook, nor do we have a textbook, nor have we had a textbook for ELs in the last 4 years that I have been with the district. Teachers in the 712 ELD classroom have had to create from scratch any and all materials used in the 4-hour block ELD classroom. Without a guaranteed and viable curriculum, English learners have not made the growth they should annually on the AZELA and the AZ Merit. Thus, we are seeking resources that will meet the needs of our students in the 2-hour model, aligned to the ELA, Arizona College and Career Readiness Standards, and support differentiated learning for various proficiency levels. We established a committee and solicited a variety of reputable publishers who have created materials for ELD secondary programs. The committee met to create a rubric that reflects the needs of our program, student population, and community. We reviewed materials for potential finalists, participated in vendor presentations with specific questions, and engaged in a final review. Included on the committee were all current ELD secondary classroom teachers, the EL teacher specialist for high school, and myself, the EL CIAS. Every teacher who participated provided valuable input and feedback. It is important to the committee to only make a recommendation if we were able to find resources that met all of our criteria. This includes being fully aligned to not only the ELP standards, but also the ELA standards. The resources needed to be able to be utilized in a secondary ELD program, specifically providing differentiation for various proficiency levels and learner types, including gifted 504 and special education students. The program needed to also have a phonics component for our pre-emergent, emergent basic students that would address the unique needs of ELs and phonics through vocabulary development. As we are a data-driven district, we want resources that include formative and summative assessments, fully aligned to standards, including data tools. It was also important for us to have resources that are student-friendly, culturally relevant, and with high-interest topics, both fiction and nonfiction. We found such a program with Inside for middle school. They provide a comprehensive spiraled set of resources, including class sets of leveled libraries, allowing for literature studies with text at the EL students' comprehension level. The books include age-appropriate topics of high interest that will motivate our students to communicate with each other, engage in reading, and support teachers in planning lessons that are personalized to our student populations. The text provided is culturally sensitive, presenting literature and nonfiction that students will identify and engage with. There are also classic American texts that address the same themes as peers their age are reading, but is leveled to meet their comprehension needs. The high school text, Edge, is designed in the same manner as Inside. There are 4 proficiency levels, beginning with fundamentals and then A, B, and C. Each level of textbook also has a classroom leveled library, a writer's practice book, an assessment practice book, and comes with teacher support. With your support, our goal would be to order materials in May for delivery by June for summer planning and have full implementation for the start of the 2019-20 school year. Cengage will provide a half-day training for Edge and a half-day for Inside. They will have webinars and online training available through the course of the 19-20 school year. Each teacher and student will be provided online access, including assessments and data tools, as well as grade-level hard copies of classroom sets. Students will have access to a comprehension coach, which can read to them, and then the students respond to comprehension questions with immediate feedback. They can read and record themselves for the teacher to listen to at a future date, and access to National Geographic quality videos that help students build background and make connections to topics being studied.
For class sets for each grade level 7-12 and the online accounts for the next 5 years for all students and teachers at 7-12, the total cost is $92,283.17. We are excited about this potential opportunity for both teachers and students and hope for your support with this adoption. We believe it will also help with the targeted school improvement that we are working with our high school students in EL. We will bring this item back to you as an action item at the next board meeting. Thank you.
Do we have any questions now, or do we want to digest that and send them? Thank you.
Thank you.
So who's next? Is that Jim? Mr. Miglorino, I think this is going to be the report that we have, that we might have questions for. Oh, I'm sorry. We are on 8B, C. Yeah, I'm good. Preview our classroom site fund for fiscal year 20.
Yeah, President Ordway, members of the board, Dr. Finch, we started last year bringing the classroom site fund plan to the board a little bit earlier than in previous years. And really, there's not much to share about the plan because it is 100% going to teacher pay. So the adjustments for next year, 2019, 2020, are the increase in the per student amount, or the weighted student count amount, is increasing to $434 per student. And so it's just under $16.7 million in total. That gets divided between 3 funds. There's a base pay, which is 20% of the total. There's a performance pay, which is 40% of the total. And then the menu monies, which is for the remaining 40% of the funds. The menu monies had been used in previous years for other purposes, but 100% of the funds, including the menu money, are now in the teacher salaries. And that was also provided in the salary recommendation that was approved at the last governing board meeting, the specific amount. So it's a flat dollar amount for each teacher based on their FTE. And the only other noteworthy thing I wanted to point out is the performance pay is split between 2 payments, one in June and one in the fall when the data becomes available for the student achievement results that we look for to finalize that performance pay amount, which hasn't always been the case. And I'd be happy to answer any questions regarding the Classroom Side Fund.
Mrs. O'Brien will break the spell. She has a question.
Funds 11 and 13, those are in the salaries that they receive throughout the year. Is that correct?
President Ordway, Ms. O'Brien, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for you. You have no more questions. Thank you. We'll probably think of 100 for you to answer over the weekend. Number 9.
Number 9, we talked about this last round.
Number 9 is our discussion item.
About potential board retreat dates. So
Date, to determine the date for a board retreat.
yeah,
And really, that's just to throw it out there. I mean, just to start thinking about if we're going summer, midsummer. I'm not going midsummer. Or
July.
Could we meet in June?
Do you want Ms. Taylor to throw out some potential dates and see if they line up to everyone's, and then we'd work on superintendent goals and that kind of stuff, vision?
Well, you can.
Yep, to start organizing it.
But we don't have to do that right now. I just wanted to.
Yeah, we need to give kind of give Ms. Taylor some boundaries. So, do you want like Saturdays? Do you want? Is there
I gotta be honest, I really don't know when I'm available. My son's coming out for a few weeks, and then my relatives started saying they might come, but they haven't given me dates. So I just don't know. I mean, I'll feel bad if I throw a date out and then cancel. So if you guys want to schedule, I'll try to come. My plans aren't set yet.
Okay.
I have
yeah.
a different issue with my work schedule.
Okay.
Having gone in the summer, I'm going to 410s, and like just yesterday, I got 3 new summer events that they want us to attend on Saturday. So my schedule is probably going to be somewhat crazy, and I think the 3 of you probably have a little more open with your schedule. So I mean, if you want to throw out the dates, and I'll do my best to make it, but I can't guarantee who's going to email me tomorrow and say, "Can you come to our summer STEM camp?"
So
It's just the nature of the beast.
Would Fridays work better then, or?
Well, how about we throw to Sheila all of our personal needs?
Yep.
And then she can make a
Makes a little
sheet
chart
for us, a little chart, and then we can maybe have a couple of dates that might kind of work.
Right.
Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, and Friday I would rather not probably do a weekend in the summer.
Friday'd be better?
That would not be my first choice.
We're on 410s as well. Yep.
So I think maybe we'll just throw Sheila our stuff, and then
Yep.
maybe
And then if we want it in this type of setting, or do we want it at a school? Do we want it at that kind of stuff too? So we'll be looking for suggestions in that arena as well.
I guess I guess Mrs. Frank can email what her 410s will be, as opposed to like which day you're not in the office. But
that would be on a Friday.
Fridays? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the gift of
And I guess
working
because
the 10-day week.
we don't do awards and stuff, so I was just curious because we only do one board meeting. Is like a Tuesday night gonna work for everyone?
Good.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Let's
yeah, that's an idea.
throw all your ideas that way, and then she can sift through them.
Okay.
Did you want to add something?
I was just going to say, if you're doing it again during the week, I would
Use 10 hours. So
That's
10-hour
gonna be
day,
late,
4
yeah.
days in a row. So, I mean, you're probably not going to find a date that's going to be perfect for everybody. So,
just saying,
do
I'm
the best you
available
can,
at 5
but
in the
fine.
morning. You know, if you want an early morning meeting.
No,
No,
thank
not
you.
me either.
I'm good.
All right, so then we'll just send
See what Miss Taylor can.
you and see what you can make. A little
Make it
summer
work.
tent for us.
All right.
And is that the end?
That is
Ooh, look at that. So at 8:43,
not bad.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
yeah, we will do that. Wait, we didn't talk about future dates and events.
Oh,
Adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
All right. Good job.